We are back on Morning Line. It is our final segment this morning. Davidson County Sheriff Daron Hall. We can take your phone calls, 737-7587. We were just talking about some of the news that was breaking this morning in terms of another big event coming. It's going to be a crazy summer in Nashville. It always is, you know, with the CMA Music Festival and the Bonnaroo crowd flying in and then heading on down to you know, I guess Coffee County, Manchester. And then at the same time, you have coming up in April now, the Preds will be in the playoffs, okay? You also have the marathon, and that same week, you have now this NFL draft. And we were just seeing that they talked about all the events built around this draft, which I know you've talked to some folks with the city on this. 300,000 people are expected to come for a draft. I think Carla was saying they think that this is going to be the biggest viewed sporting event, if you want to call this a sporting event, in state history.
To be, I mean, I grew up a huge sports fan, and I'm a little shocked that there are that many people. Now, look, Nashville is a cool place to go if you want to come do something like that. I think
in April,
but it's just hard. And I mean, like you. I mean, I was downtown. I think I went to game 6 or 7 of the Stanley Cup that year. And I won't ever forget. This is a true story. So, game 6 or 7, CMA, same time, same week.
That's right.
Parking was $80 a spot. I saw it, $80.
That's price gouging. I mean, it really is. There should be someone monitoring that part of it.
Well,
I know it's supply and demand, but come on.
I thought I was being smart. I took an Uber because I thought I'm not going to pay $110.
Everything was up.
$110.
Well, now, couldn't you have found a place to park in your normal space over here and just? I know it's a little bit of a walk, right? You're going down to the Bridgestone, right?
Yeah, one of the. And I don't know.
I mean, I'll walk from here there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind. I don't mind some of that. I mean, it just you know, I'm a little more in and out. I just want to get and go. I don't want to do all the. But it's the city has got so much going on, and to me, the draft, which I think is going to be interesting, but it's not like a competition. I mean, it's not like where you go and you watch the game and go home. I mean, this thing's going to go on for 3 days.
Yeah,
I guess.
For 3 days. I mean, I'm really, truth be told, I'll pay attention to it with the Titans if they have a few picks. And really, outside the first round, all of a sudden, you know, most of the players then drafted after that, I don't even know who they are. I don't care. But apparently, it's not. This is. I'm sure a lot of locals will go to it, but you're going to have a ton of people, fans of other cities, coming. You know, I mean, whatever team is going to have the #1 pick this year, probably
Arizona,
the Cardinals. I bet you we're going to have a ton of Cardinal fans here, just rooting and watching for that first pick.
And I tell you what, I mean, so Sunday's Super Bowl, the very next day, Monday, it starts the. I mean, it ramps up from there. It's Super Bowl draft, so I mean, we will hear a lot about the draft going forward.
Just 3 months.
It's going to be amazing.
All right. Well, I just thought I'd mention that. Let's go to Jim next. Jim, good morning. Hi, Jim.
Hey, good morning. My question, I've got a question for the sheriff. You know, we had this high-profile shooting by the police in 2018, the Hambrick shooting, and the Tennessean printed his record. He had been convicted on felonies 10 times in 8 years, from 18 to 26, and he was killed when he was 26. And the latest one was in January of that year for carrying a weapon as a convicted felon. My question is why was he not in your jail instead of out on the street and this event happening? How could somebody be convicted of 10 felonies in 8 years and still be out on the street? And then everybody's screaming for justice reform to let people out more. It sounds like to me that we ought to be keeping them in more. But that's my question to the sheriff.
Fair question.
It's a good question. To be honest with you, I don't know anything about the charges you're talking about. I could go look into that.
He did have a prior rap sheet to some degree, and I don't know the details of why. But you know how it is. Legally, things can play out. Time served. Maybe he did some time. Good behavior.
Yeah, the bond. I mean, he may have been on bond. I don't know.
Maybe on bond. I don't know. I don't know the details either.
But it will come out surely in a courtroom of the convictions and so forth as you go forward. And you know, and it's a fair question. I hear this a lot. I hear there's 2 angles to this stuff. I mean, you know, you've got not the shooting necessarily, but you know, there's a large conversation around. What is your goal in locking people up? If you're just trying to keep them away from the community or whatever, they're going home sometime. I mean, everybody. I mean, 99% of the people who go to jail. It's my position that you should be doing something about what led them to jail before you let them out. And there are a lot of people right now, and Jim, you know, I'd love to talk to you about this. I mean, there are a lot of people in jails right now that have no idea what you know, what led them there. They're severely addicted. They're severely mentally ill. That sounds like I'm saying they deserve to just walk the streets. No, they don't. We should be forcing our community to deal with the word addiction and the world of mental health, and then your tax dollars could be spent preventing people from breaking into houses, in my opinion. So it's you're right. It's frustrating. There's a lot of, you know, I don't like the criminal justice system as it relates to sentencing and laws. People don't really understand it. It's confusing. You're convicted of a 10-year sentence, but the truth is you had jail credit. You're already released by the time you're convicted. I mean, it's very, very complicated
very rarely
for people.
Do people serve these days, except in federal court.
Right.
And even then, good behavior. Do you serve what the sentence is?
Yeah, I mean,
it's rare.
I have a younger son, and he was asking me one day several years ago that. How could someone have 3 life sentences? And I said, well, you can actually do 3 life sentences. I mean, back when I used to do this years ago, but you could compute a sentence and do a sentence of life in 23 years. So you
life is not real. You think most people first hear life. I did until I got in this business. No. You think life means, oh, they're going to die behind bars.
Right. Right.
No.
And so
now, if it's life without parole,
yeah, you should die. You will not get out.
You will not get out.
That's the way it is. But Jim's right. The frustrations of it, and again, whether it's that case or others, they hear the rap sheet, they hear the conversations, and it's a fair question. Even why he wasn't in jail at the time, I can't answer that. I could if I looked into it. What he was.
I hear what he's saying, and people bring that up. By the way, I think life actually, I'm not sure, is really life without parole is like 56 years. I think even after that, when you've served and I could be wrong, and it may differ from different jurisdictions, but the definition of life without parole is 56 years. So if somehow maybe you're still alive after 56 years behind bars, you may have a shot at getting out.
Yeah,
but again, that's a long time.
Really good.
Real quick, we just have about a minute or two. Vicky, good morning. Did you have a question or comment?
Yes, I do.
Hi, Vicky. Go ahead.
Number one, why Jim worried about mine, he need to worry about his own. Okay? While everybody up there talking about mine, they need to worry about their own. Okay? And my son served his time. So don't worry about mine. The police shot my son.
This is
like an animal.
Okay.
That is your son, and
that's besides the point. He shot my son like an animal.
I appreciate your call, and I hear you. And I don't think we didn't go there, and I was waiting to hear if he said that. The shooting incident and what it went down. And she says her son did do his time. You pay your debt to society. You should be able to get on with your life. But even if he didn't, I mean, that's a whole separate issue for whether or not this was a legitimate shoot. Whether this guy had a rap sheet or not, to me, doesn't really matter. It depends on what happened in that circumstance at that moment, and that's going to be adjudicated. So, and Vicky's called in oftentimes to defend her son, and I appreciate it, and I know how heartfelt she is, and that just shows how polarized this is going to be if and when it does go to trial, and I believe it will.
Yeah, I mean, and again, my point is more about, you know, I don't believe, I agree with Vicky, I don't believe he was escaped from jail, because we know that he had done whatever the legal requirements were when this event occurred. So what he had done previous to that or prior to that, you know, whether it's Jim or me or anyone else, I don't think we want to be.
We all pay our debt to society, and the deal should be, even though you may have a record, that you can get on with your life because you've paid your debt. You start with a clean slate, except of course you have a record that can follow you around, makes it difficult to find jobs, things like that.
Right, and that all, I mean, that will come out. Your point's a really good one. I mean, I think the police officer in this situation acknowledged that he didn't know him, which means he wouldn't have known the facts. This is what I've heard.
So you have to look at it in the microcosm of what he knew then and what happened, and that's going to be decided in court. So I hear where Vicky's coming from.
You can't now say, well. And
it must be frustrating for her, because there are a lot of people, and I heard what Jim was saying, but there's a lot of people say, well, look at his rap sheet. What the heck? He did us a favor. And that's an awful thing to say. That's an awful thing to say. And you have to look at this instant by instant. You don't base someone on prior bad acts necessarily, especially if they've already paid their debt to society. We will look and see if this was right or wrong, but that's going to be something else. I'll tell you what. You had to process Delkey when he went through. He's out on bond, and one reason I understand that he may not go to trial as quickly as maybe some people think is because he is out on bond, and there are other people locked up in your jail that they'll try to get to first because they're locked up. I've heard that can be part of the equation sometimes when you think, well, how quickly, as long as he's not an escape risk or someone that's going to flee.
I think that's true, but it's also lawyer work. Lawyers like to
there's going to be a lot of delays
to get all the information. primarily when you're out, they're more likely to do that. But
that's true.
But
that's
I mean,
true.
you would assume. Again, I say this all the time. I mean, people are assumed innocent until they're in court. So did Mr. Hambrick. So did Mr. Delkey. All that comes out in a courtroom one day. You know what the truth is about whether they're guilty or not. I have a lot of people. I had a guy yesterday on me about why in the world are we releasing so many people on pretrial release, and people are, you know, they're arrested for these crimes, and I said they are arrested, they're not convicted.
Yeah.
And once they're convicted, the courts have decided that, then we'd go somewhere else. And so as we sit here and wait, it's going to be a long time. I have no idea. I bet it's a year or so. And
we'll keep following it.
Right,
and I appreciate people commenting. Sheriff,
right.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Nick.
We'll see you again in a month.
I look forward to it.
All right, back with a programming note right after this.